How are you doing?
You got the best smile ever, my friend. You got the best smile ever. I'm well. I'm really well. Thank you. I'm excited to have this kind of a conversation with you. I mean, you and I have literally had hundreds of conversations over many, many years, and yet this one's special. This is perhaps the first conversation. In fact, it is the first conversation we've ever had that we are happily inviting others to come in and listen to or watch and listen to. And I think that's pretty special stuff. By way of a bit of a touch on history, you and I, 10 to 12 to maybe even 15 years ago, met in the world of Dale Carnegie when I, as a Dale Carnegie instructor, who knew that you would be a future Dale Carnegie instructor, but at that time you were a student to the process. And we met then, and I was so taken by you and your presence and your enthusiasm and your zest for life. And I was literally compelled to want to get to know you better and have someone like you in my experience, because I'm always energized by having you in my world, and even better when it's in person and not just energetically from a distance. So it's great to be here. You and I have embarked on various and different kinds of transitions on the heels of changes of significance to you in your personal and professional life. So
yes.
Without further ado, I feel like I've introduced you already, but if you would please, just share what you'd like to share about yourself by way of an introduction, Darrell.
Well, thank you, Murray. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. If I wanted to introduce myself, you know what? I was going to do the traditional type of opening, Murray, and I just really am trying to be in the moment here and just saying, I'm a person who just wants to learn more and help as many people as I want to or as I can. And that's what's coming up for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Either that be through the Dale Carnegie, through Toastmasters and helping people to overcome their speaking fears, to owning some wellness clinics so people can actually learn about different ways of helping healing their bodies and their spirits and their minds. That's all about me, and that's the essence that I think that binds both you and I, how we want to help as many people as possible and heal as many people as possible.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yes, as you rechart all those elements of who you are, you personify, service. And if you don't mind me outing you just a little bit more, is just to say that you are also someone who has a very special interest and a special love for the liberation of men from, whatever it is that, is in between them and the higher and highest possibilities in their life as well. And so all these amazing different dimensions that you have, and so we're kindred in really meaningful ways. And so yeah, great. So that covers off a basic setting of the table here for us as far as introductions are concerned. And it's not as simple as you and I having a chat about a single time of significant change and then embarking on significant transition after that, because I've had the pleasure and the privilege of you returning to engaging with me at various different junctures of significant change and significant transition, all in the name of, what I witnessed was sort of the next elevation of who you were personally and professionally. The two of these are always so intermingled. But I'm wondering, Darrell, if it's fair, and you let me know if it's not, but to ask, what might have been common of your experience before engaging me any of those times? like we're at a point, I reach into my experience in this moment here, we're at a point where we're now thinking that bringing outside support in to the inside of our experience could be helpful, valuable. And I'm just curious as to, could you reach back into your various experiences and maybe comment for the listener and the viewer as to what was going on for you when you decided to open up to outside support? Because they're undoubtedly tussling, grappling, considering these sorts of things too.
You know, the thing that came to mind here was perhaps I had some doubts or concerns about the business that I was working on or something that was happening to me professionally. And perhaps I think why I wanted to engage with you, Murray, was I didn't know what the answer was, but I also didn't necessarily know where to look for the answer. And I think part of that was to engage someone like yourself to open me up. And, you know, through our experiences over the many years that we've worked together, I know when I work with you, you help me to see more possibilities than ever before. I think it is an opportunity to return to my full self. I think that's what I see when I start working with you. I also think that there's a period of times when I started to engage with you where I was confused about some things and I didn't know who to turn to. I'm looking for a trusted source, a place where someone is not judgmental. And I was seeking a space that was open where I can kind of basically blur out stuff and see where it lands up and have an interaction. I think you know this about me. This is how I learn. It's like playing tennis, right? You're going the ball back and forth. I said, hey, that was a good shot, or that one's a little bit low. Hey, what? And you get some feedback about it at the same time about how to get better, how to move forward. And I think this is when I'm working with you. I wanted to bat the ball around and see how we could advance forward. Yeah. And, you know, I think part of this is not how to, I felt I didn't want to advance alone. I think being an entrepreneur, it can feel kind of lonely when you're working on your own business and you don't have anyone necessarily to confide into. Yeah. You're the type of person that I gravitated towards and saying, oh, this is a person I can trust, someone that I admire, and the person that can actually offer some possibilities to lift me out and to help me to bring back that perspective that I've wanted to come back for such a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Darrell. The word possibilities strikes me as something to elaborate on for a moment. And that is that's exactly it. Here we come into this co-creative kind of relationship, and you're floating possibilities and I'm floating possibilities. We're building on each other's possibilities. And all the while, you are always retaining authority for those possibilities or those parts of possibilities that you decide to embrace and take forward. And then that's so different than promotions or prescriptions. Possibilities are simply that, they're possibilities. And because, you know, you and what's true for you, you're the authority on, you know, what choices or decisions you're going to make in transition.
Well, you know what? I have to smile at that because I think in more than one instance I wanted to push back that control or authority back to you, and I learned my lesson and how important it is to retain that. So I just got reminded of that just earlier this week. I was making a presentation and how important that it is for me to stand in my own truth and to see it as it is. And, you know, when someone has a different thought, is to say, that's interesting. And how does that incorporate, how do I integrate that into my own truth, as opposed to necessarily adopting it? So
yeah, very good.
That's a lesson I appreciate.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so appreciative of you mentioning this. It reminds me of the few conversations I've had with a fellow of our journeyers over the years where, and Lord knows I've done this myself in days gone by, is, Murray, please just tell me what to do. and of course I know that it's lightheartedly that is said, and we both understand and appreciate that, you know, even if I had something, and I usually don't, about what direction to take, it would be my direction because it's coming from me. So how could that possibly be helpful to you or anyone else? But it's to uphold that part of us that is maybe feeling vulnerable in those moments, is feeling, I would really love this to be easier than the tough slugging part of this transition I'm moving through right now. And in that moment of relief, to be able to say, wouldn't it just be nice if just someone could come down and just tell me?
Yeah. You know what, when you talk about the coming to up the tough parts, I think the tough part is just making the commitment to actually to work with you. After that, actually, I thought it was going to be some tough slugging going on, and there's some challenging moments, but not as much as what it was, you know, I was crying in my own mind's eye about that.
Well, you, my friend, my fellow journeyer, are quite an extraordinary person from the standpoint that, you know, without turning this call into a 4-hour call, is to say that, you know, there have been different points at different parts of different transitions and journeys that we've been on together where it's roll up the sleeves and really get sort of down and dirty into some of the corners, and sharing of possibilities and different angles and different approaches, always in your best interest. I'm always coming from that place. Is that doesn't necessarily mean that we won't bump up against some stuff, and yet you and I have always exemplified, in my view, that yeah, you can do this, and not only does the process become stronger of your own truthful unfolding, the relationship becomes stronger too, because you know that you can go into those spaces and places with each other, and even though it might be a bit of tough slugging, that you come out stronger as individuals and as two people in a relationship. Darrell, you mentioned the threshold. You said, and I have to go back there, as you said, I think the really tough part is deciding to engage. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that? Because I think that many people will be looking in on a conversation like that and they're asking themselves the exact same question.
You know, it takes me back for a while. We've worked together on multiple engagements, and I'm trying to remember at the first one. I think part of it here is mostly has to do with me, Murray, and it's, you know, am I ready at that point to work with someone or to share? Do I trust that person with my own challenges? For me as a man, you know, it's not, I don't find it very easily to share with somebody. And you know, that could really slow me down in my own progress. And to work with you, yeah, we had a little bit of history. And I was thinking, oh, can this person really hold that space and that trust? And I think, when I work with you and when we've chatted with me, I felt very comfortable to take that plunge.
Okay.
And once you take that plunge, it's saying, oh my gosh, I waited so long to work with Murray, and your process and the thoughtfulness and the kindness and the caring that you show up makes it to the point that, oh wow, it's I don't know how to explain it other than it's, once you start working with you, it's real beauty that just comes out, between this co-creativeness that comes out, and you have the best interests at my heart, and even if I don't even necessarily see that in myself at the beginning of the process.
Yeah. Thank you, Darrell. I'm grateful that you see into me and see into our co-creative work as you do. It's a really good segue to the during part of our experience, which I'd like to talk about now, and that is twofold. One is, could you comment on sort of the process or structure or the way in which you engage with the work that we do together? More structured, less structured, process, no process, loosey-goosey, lots of freedom and latitude, or boundaries, and wherever that takes you. And then the B part is, what's it like to be in a collaboration, a co-creative experience with Murray? What was the dynamic like? Like what could someone who's looking in from the outside foresee?
Mm-hmm.
in their engagement with me, to the extent that you can touch on?
Yeah. Our latest work together, that we did, the 100-day shift, that was an amazing, let me say, it was an amazing experience. I enjoyed it. I thrived in it. I thought it was well structured. It was educational, engaging. I think for a while I've been, craving the structure, and you had provided, bite-sized pieces, this daily interaction, the journal. You remember how much I wrote in the first trimester? Oh my gosh. The journal was, we used to do a lot of recordings back then, and audio recordings are, they're valuable, but they do require a time investment involved. And somehow the journaling allowed it to not just help to crystallize the learning, because I was writing it out at the same time. I had to think about it at the same time and put it onto paper. So it gave an additional layer of substance to the whole thing, to capture it. And now I have an opportunity to, when I want to, go back to that journal and say, oh, that's where I was thinking during that time. And this was Murray's response. So I find that to be quite valuable. We also talked about the educational component. I thrived on it. I look back on it and how the timing that you had for the entire process, you curated it, a set of learning materials that I could tell that you picked the pieces that would resonate with me the most. And I'm pretty sure that took a while of sitting through 10 times, 100 times more articles than I could ever appreciate to find these nuggets and bring them to the forefront. Yeah. And so that has, created this catalyst to continue my own journey for continuous learning. It's amped it up again. So I'm much appreciated for that.
Well, you talk about the journal. I just touch on the journal. Though there is process, and though there is structure, and though there's all these different experiences to engage with, whether they're something to watch or something to listen to or something to reflect upon, or, you know, the magic happens in the journal. The magic happens in the willingness, for instance, in the initiative that you would show week after week after week to go to your journal and share what was most precious to you about what that experience was. And then I would meet you there. And the magic happens in the journal, because for us to expand and evolve and elevate is to be willing to reflect upon our experience. And then built on the reflection is then to contemplate our experience and then to integrate. And not integrate what I provide, but to integrate what stemmed from what I provided, and how you engage with it. You decide, you make all those discernments, all those decisions, all those choices as to what is the wheat and what is the chaff and what we're going to take forward. So I appreciate you mentioning the journal. It gives us a little opportunity to sort of explain for the viewer and the listener just a little bit more about how much depth and breadth was.
Yeah, you know what? I'll have to say, I'll have to admit, Murray, that I didn't think the journal was like, he wants me to write in a journal. Like, how's this going to help me with my learning? And
you're not alone. Yeah.
You know, I'll have to say, maybe because I don't know, perhaps I was born into the technological era. I was waiting for the latest test or doodad, something through the internet that would wow to impress me or, you know, analyze me, this thing. And it is have to be, you know, the digital pen and paper has been actually the most effective. We talk about we have these these phone calls on a regular basis. And I think there's an opportunity to be in the moment, to reflect. But then there's also another element, which is that journal, where you have another opportunity to reflect. But this is more time-spaced. This is to sit and afterwards. It's almost like maybe there's a tough slugging or something about a particular issue, or maybe, imagine you had a hard run or a hard, after a sports game or something, and now you come together as a team, or you're coming back with the coach and afterwards. Hey, how was it? Hey, this went well. This didn't go so well. And you record those, reflected learnings for future learning.
Yes.
And for future growth. And that was amazing, because not when you're in the moment, not everything comes to the top of mind.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Excellent. I really appreciate you elaborating.
Yeah.
And so that's process and structure in that part. So what about the other part? The part about here I am. I'm evidently going to be engaged with this guy over a period of time. And what might that be like through Darrell's experience?
We've been working for such a long time, Murray. When we collaborate together, I know I say there's some artistry that comes up to here, but it's a type of conversation that is free, open, and creative. And I say free because there's some structure. The questions that you ask, what can I say? The conversations, I think part of this year, and part of some of my patterns is saying, oh, I'm always looking for that judgment to see what happens, and it never comes. And so as I continue to learn that, and I see that, it creates such a safe space for me to be open. And so that's one thing I appreciate, that, and the freedom wow, the freedom to say what's on my mind. I think sometimes when I engage with you, Murray, um, what happens is that I want to engage with you. I know the questions I want to ask or I want the answers to, but I don't have necessarily the courage, or I haven't necessarily fully formed those questions yet at the beginning of the process. And for someone to help me step on that journey with me. And you create that freedom and saying, hey, come on, let's what's on your mind? And we're walking down we're on this hike together. And that freedom, the feeling of being outdoors, and we're chugging along, and hey, what are we going to talk about today? And we bat that around that idea. So I really find that one. And what's my last one there was the structure, the freedom.
Trying to find your word.
I think it was about I think it's something along the lines of the caring that you provided. It's sometimes it's almost embarrassing, and it's almost sometimes, Murray, that you actually love me more than I love myself in some of those instances, actually. And it's it was nice to see help to ground me, and for me to come back to who I really was and how to show up fully in everything that I do. And that's I think that's one of the greatest gifts that you can share with somebody else.
Thank you wholeheartedly, Darrell. You're such a special human being. We've talked a lot about true nature, understanding our true nature, coming to have faith in our true nature, and then at these points of faith, which is really like a leap of faith, then we take these understandings of our true nature and we bring them forth out into the world of our experience, the outside, from the inside into the outside. And as we do, we come to discover that we can trust in our true nature, that we always could. It needed mining and cultivation, and it needed to be unblocked. And I have witnessed you over the years, this never-ending blooming kind of experience that has taken place, bred of your commitment, bred of your will, bred of your humility, and here we co-create. In this space, we co-create. And if that space can be safe, if that space can be free to explore and free of judgment, then it's you're a testament to what we can discover there, what we can discover there, and it's a heartfelt journey. It's a heartfelt journey, and so yeah,
Absolutely.
there's lots of emotions that are beautifully expressed by both of us. You and I have had a number of good cries together over the course of time, which I savor and bask in, because we know that we are accessing deeper sources of what is true in each of us. And as you know, I believe that we are each of us humans share in common a light, love, and creativity. And as we gain greater and deeper access to the truth of who we are, of course, there's going to be lots of love there. And that love is expressed. And one aspect of my true nature that you touched on that I am blessed to hold is the seeing into the beauty in others, the light, love, and creativity in others. And as I've been known to say, hey, I can hold enough belief in in you for both of us until you catch up. And so, how lucky am I, how fortunate am I to be in these kinds of spaces where I get close to people's story and have the privilege of time and space to see inside and see what we can dust off and shine up and then have you release to the benefit of so many others. I mean, here you're in this world where healing and liberation and empowerment is your thing, is an aspect of your true nature, and just made that much more powerful over time. And so, right, well, let's move then, if you will, over to the sort of, we've charted the before and we've charted the during, and now we're going to sort of, in retrospect, as you look back on the different engagements at different times. Darrell and I have not been working together for 15 straight years. We have had these beautiful junctures over time where we'll work together for a duration of time, and then we'll go off and live our different lives, and then we'll reach another juncture and come back together, all the while staying in touch, of course. But looking back, Darrell, upon greater reflection over our times together, what could you offer the viewer, the listener, as far as, maybe what some of their anticipations could be after the fact?
What comes to mind here too is, like, by taking, going through your experiences that you've created, it's almost like afterwards there is so much learning afterwards, and to actually start to apply it, that you start to see the real beauty of the work that we've co-created and that we've done previously. For example, to be more from that, take that more neutral or observer standpoint and see things instead of necessarily reacting to them. I see that more fully, and that's so much more helpful, how I approach things. The ability to show up fully, right? And so let's say, Darrell's here to show up fully like that. Wow, that's where some of the magic happens. And when you interact with people at that level, and interacting with material at that level, allows you to integrate and grow much more quickly. Even in my own work, creating my own men's group to support my own work has recently come to fruition, and that's part and parcel of the work that we have done in the past. Some of the stories that where I've walked with men on some hikes, and the beauty that comes around, the partnership that comes around, I see myself integrating much more fully.
A beautiful hike analogy. A beautiful hike analogy.
Yes, comes out again, and yes, because of these times, it's actually literally is a hike outdoors more often than not.
That's right. Yeah, we've never been so thankful to be on a hike. Yeah.
Smelling the roses or the plants and whatnot on either side. But what I've actually come, I say it's a pleasant surprise, but it's not. And it's probably the one area that I didn't give too much thought about it to is to my personal relationships, not just to my wife, but my other family members. I'm engaging with more at a deeper level, in so many different ways I didn't even I didn't even expect, and it's wonderful, and I'm thankful for those opportunities, and the work that we have done has helped me to release and allow that creativity to help some of those relationships blossom to to the next level or the next evolution of that. And I'm so much appreciative because of the work that we've done.
Well, me too. Thank you for saying so. And yeah, I feel equally grateful for the experience, all the experiences that we've had together. Maybe in closing, Darrell, we reach these thresholds in our experience where we're exploring for support. We're maybe not sure yet as to whether or not we're going to engage, but we're opening and we're realizing at some level that support could be helpful, could be valuable. That's an important threshold, because maybe at one time it's true for us to step back from that threshold. At another time, it's important for us to step over that threshold. And of course, that's all to be honored and respected in each of us for our different journeys. Any advice to the fellow aspiring journeyer or fellow near aspiring journeyer?
I think two things come to mind here. And I'll start off with a story that when I was down at university, I had an opportunity to see, James Earl Jones, famously of, the voice of Darth Vader.
Yes.
Was speaking at the university, so I went to attend, and I think I got a good spot. And someone behind me said to James Earl Jones, he said, "You're younger. You used to stutter, and so what would you tell people who stutter? What can they do to get better?"
Mm-hmm.
He actually basically said, he looked at the person in the eye and says, "It's a little bit like marriage. You just got to try." And it's like, oh, wow, you just got to go do it and see what happens. And so this is kind of a thing that, I would recommend, is just to go try and see what happens to it. You've heard my thoughts and feelings about the work that was done here, and to go and be this scientist and test your assumptions and saying, hey, let's go to explore this. And now I've got this fellow journeyer with me, and let's see where it takes us. The second part I would say here is, take a look at yourself, where you're going to be maybe after the course. What value do you see yourself receiving when you're going through the course, you're doing the exercise, and you're interacting with Murray? And when you see that value, then that will help you to frame the investment, the effort, and the challenges and opportunities that will appear along that journey. And then you might say, oh, I think this will make it worthwhile. So I hope I've did an opportunity to give you kind of a glimpse of what I've gone through from one side to the other side, and give you an opportunity to see what value, when you finally step over that threshold into an exciting and place full of possibilities and wonder.
Thank you, Darrell. Knowing you as I do, the beautiful heart that you have, I hope you don't mind me asking you one further question. Because I know whatever your answer is will matter to whoever is taking the moments to listen and watch excerpts or the whole of our conversation together. And that is, being who you are, coming from where you come from, going where you're going. What do you wish? What do you wish for others who are really fellow journeyers to us? What do you wish for them?
What do I wish? Wow. You know, the word that's coming to me is, even though I'm yeah, thinking about it, I'm not thinking about it. The word that comes out is peace. I think both you and I hold that dearly, and to have, you know, a person that's, you know, at the beginning of the journey, to say, you know, there's peace there, wherever you go there. And I think, to allow yourself to see that is a great gift to give yourself.
Thank you, Darrell. Thank you so much for your time today. I am basking in our time together. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me for this opportunity.